Hi there, Kiela here from my video journal. Today I'm thinking about an analogy that came into play because it was a pretty rough day, and I was having a conversation with my sister about that earlier this evening. And the analogy that came to mind when I was talking to her it comes from a renovation project, and that's really, I guess, what made me think of it. My husband and I are working on renovating, various aspects of our home that are projects in our home that are far overdue. And one of those is the kitchen in general, but especially replacing the countertops. And that's something we got stuck on a number of years ago and just had not moved forward on at all. And it's probably the next big priority on my list. We're currently working on, we're already working on another project, but when we finish this one, the question is what's next? And I'm lobbying for the kitchen countertops and finally figuring out what we want to do about them. So today, when I was thinking about my day, and not just my day, but it had me thinking about, the rough spots of my day had me thinking about, in general, my goals, and specifically the goals that I haven't made as much progress on. There are lots of goals that I've made lots of progress on in the last few years, and there is at least one really important goal that I'm still working on, and that is sort of my overriding priority in terms of mastery, like what I am working on mastering at this point in my life. And the analogy that came to mind, some days I feel really, I would say most days I feel pretty good about it. I feel, optimistic, encouraged. I have faith in myself, in the universe, in the process. And I absolutely know that this is going to work. The process, in other words, that I'll get there. All I can't say for sure is when, but it's just inevitable. That's usually how I feel. But there are days like today when I am not there altogether, where life is feeling a little more challenging to me, where I'm feeling less optimistic. It's especially likely to happen to me if I didn't get as much sleep. Like last night I slept pretty poorly, and there are other factors, and there are a couple of rough things going on that are outside of the scope of this conversation that were contributing toward that. But for various reasons, it was a perfect storm of feeling this way. And, I was feeling somewhat discouraged. But the thing is, no matter how discouraged I might be feeling at any given moment, there's almost a level of assurance just in the fact that there's no going back. Once you become aware and move forward and make progress in the, journey of personal development, where you really have done some significant mindset work and made some major shifts and changes in your thinking, then there's really no going back. I can't even imagine. It's just an impossibility. And so what that feels like, the best analogy that I've ever come up with was today, and it was the first time I had thought about it this way, is a bit like it would feel if you started renovating your kitchen and you ripped off the countertops. You're like, I hate these. I'm going to replace them with something better. And so you just, remove those countertops, destroy them. You do the demolition on them, but you don't yet have a plan for, or maybe you have some ideas, some thoughts, what you'd like to see, but you don't yet know how you're going to replace them. And so you may feel a little bit stuck, but you have to keep going. You have to go forward. Maybe you had a plan and you start going forward with that plan and you discover that it's not going to work for one reason or another, or maybe you're just not sure yet if you can make it work. So that's kind of how I feel like on the really, really off days, which thankfully are fairly few and far between, and it seems like they're getting fewer and further between, but they still happen. And when I'm there, it feels a lot like that. And today was one of those days where it's just really uncomfortable in the moment, of where I am. And yet I know that there's really no reasonable alternative but to keep going, putting one foot in front of the other, continue showing up and doing the best that I can. So that's my piece for today. Thank you so much for watching. I'll talk to you again soon.